Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the HG Brady Fox from the Kyoukai Senki series part 2/season 2. Now once again, I'm a big fan of the series. I've been enjoying their kits for a while, so which is why like pretty much any kit that comes out from the series I'm pretty much gonna get at this point. Alright, so the Brady Fox is basically a improved version of the Brady Hound. Now, design-wise, some people may have a different opinion, but once again, according to the manual on the description of the unit, that's pretty much the way how it is. It still retains the overall design, but has a much more better speed and maneuverability and other specs going on as well. Alright, so because this is my third version or variant of the Brady Hound, I'm not going to go over articulation, but I will be going over some differences as well too, since, you know, it's going to be boring every time I show the same articulation here. Alright, so before we go on to any comparisons, I would like to mention a few things. Number one, if you get this kit, according to the manual, you have two options. You can build either one of these. It's number one, you can either build the manned unit, so this is the one that has the clear piece on the top, and then we have the unmanned unit, so these are AI controlled versions, so there's nothing on the top there, so you have to choose among them. For the one, as I mentioned before, so I decided to go with the unmanned unit just for fun, because we've already seen the one with the small lens on the top before, so I just wanted to mention that. So let's go over some components right away. So first of all, what you get, of course, is basically the Brady Fox itself, and currently I gave him the multi-purpose hands, which works as the fist. It still has the knuckle function. If you don't know what I mean, you can always check my previous reviews regarding that as well. And then here are its equipment that you should be getting and should be using eventually. So number one, we get this gigantic shield, definitely a very practical looking shield going on here as well. Now you can fold this downwards if you want to do so. Now this is technically meant for when it's floating around with the store carrier. If you feel like the shield is a little bit too long and awkward, but when it's floating around, you can always bend the lower section here to make it look less awkward when it's floating around. And then here we have the handle. There's no peg system here, so you're pretty much holding the shield with this handle, but it works very well. I just wanted to point that out. So, and you can move the handle up and down a bit, so you can change the angle a little bit, and you can slightly rotate it around here as well. Now, it's not really meant to do that. I mean, it's not really meant for like angle, but it's basically locking into place. You can see there's a peg. There was a teeth there. You plug it in, rotate it, and you lock into place. That is pretty much its purpose. And then hand-wise, we get the open style hands as usual. We've seen these multiple times. And then we get this part here. This is meant for the left hand. So giving a very long range or long rifle here, you are able to hold it with two hands. But in order to hold it with two hands, the left hand has to be swapped out with this part right over here with an angled ball joint. So you would have a much more easier time holding the weapons with two hands. So the only downside is that I wish they would have just given a full-fledged dedicated hand for this, but you have to do some swapping with the left hand as well. So that's the only downside here. And then here we have some stickers. Once again, very simple stickers here. We have the stickers for the lens / main eyes. We have these two for the weapons, and this one you'll be using this only if you make the manned unit. But since I didn't, it's a leftover sticker at this point. Alright, so now let's get the rifle here. Now the handle is still the same from the previous Brady Hounds, like still the same structure, which is this design here does become slightly a bit of a problem, which I'll mention later. And here we have these two stickers, the one that is on the barrel, because if you've seen the series, it's the barrel inside. If you look at the inside of the barrel, it's more like a lens in there, so that's why. And this is a laser cannon, which is why I think they were going with this. I was slightly hesitant whether to use it or not, but for the sake of reviewing, I just decided to use it. And on the scope here, we have another green sticker right over here, so no problem with that one as well. And yeah, it's a very long rifle, and you do have the option to rotate the second handle, but yeah, once again, it's mostly going to be on the front section right over there. Alright, and let's go over some leftover pieces, because this is technically a variant from previous designs. So number one, while you do not get the knives or swords, you do get the knife and sword holster here. And the hole for the to connect these are still under the armpit hole is still there, so which is why you are able to use these. So if you do have any leftover blades, or if you can make your own blades, you can always carry those around and modify them. So that's that. And here is the part if you're going to make with the manned unit. This is the top section that you should be using here. So that's that. I already slapped that on there over there. And here is the original head connection part for the Brady Hound. Now this one uses that. You can see this one's a ball joint. However, the Brady Fox here actually has a peg system. So the head / eye does not move at all, so it's not gonna move around. So the one awkward thing that to some people might is that But if you're trying to look in a different direction, if you say the body is hitting this way, but you want to still make it look forward over here, that's not going to be possible. So it is going to feel slightly awkward regarding that. But then again, this is a very improved lens compared to the original Brady Hound. So I think this is like a concept being like a 360 lens going on here. And also this, because of the overall sticker on the inside, there's 2 round circles there. It really reminds me of the Alice Core Gundam, which is a very, very good kit. I would like to mention that. Alright, so that were the leftover parts that I cut off. Now here are the leftover parts that I didn't cut off. So here is the actual lens part that you should be using. The Brady Hound Brad custom version was using a purple one. This one's actually a black one, so that's that. And then here we have the original parts for the Brady Hound. So if you do want to make this look like a more of the Brady Hound style but in white, you can do that, but you're going to need to either color these or bring some stickers out from previous ones. And then here we have the head/main top body parts. If you're going with the man unit, these are the parts that you have to use. So there is some parts differences among the two as well. And then here we have some leftover parts. Now these are actual leftover parts, but yeah, in different colors. So this is from the original chest piece, and then these are the original arm parts for the Brady Hound. All right, so yeah. Now we've seen the basics of the parts. Now let's get the basics of the kits or differences to be more specific. So here is the Brady Hound, the Brad custom version as well. So you can definitely tell that they kept the overall structure or build style as well. But there are some changes going on here. So number one is obviously the color. And number two is that now, while this was the Brad custom version, this one, the Brady Fox uses the original shoulder. So the wing looking design from the Brady Fox, from the Brady Hound shoulders are still on the Brady Fox going on here. And as you can see, the chest section right over here, now the bottom chest section is different, but the top section chest is different going on here as well. And obviously I don't think I need to mention about the head already. So once again, the Brady Hound units, you can actually wiggle around the head, and you can kind of rotate, or you can move around the head part, but this one not possible. And now finally, one of the biggest difference would be the arms, because the arms, this is the basic design. Now we have a new design going on here as well. So the arms, you can see there's these barrels on the bottom. These are actually, according to the manual, are chain guns. So if this guy does lose its laser cannon, he does have still other weapons to use. So yeah, it's not exactly too bad if you ask me. And I'm always a sucker for built-in weapons going on here. Alright, so other than that, everything is exactly the same. So if you do want to check out the articulation for this guy, you can always check my previous reviews going on that as well. Now, despite the change in arms, by the way, just want to mention this, it still has the same range of articulation here. So roughly 90 degrees or slightly more, depending on how you look at it. Alright, so I think let's go over the weapons right away. So number one, the shield. I'm actually surprised how this thing is able to hold the shield with no problem. At first, my expectation was that this is going to have a really hard time with the shield, like the example of the HG Gundam GPO2. That shield is extremely heavy, but this one, no issues at all. He can hold it with no problem as well. And then, yeah, you can always change the angle, and yeah, basically no issues holding the shield, which is a very good thing. Now, the issue is actually coming from the weapon, which I am slightly disappointed. So, because of the length, the handle being here, and there's no other extra support or connection on the back, all the weight distribution is going to the front. So, I mean, it's not as bad as you think, but it's just the fact that the ball joint on the hand cannot handle all the weight here. So you can see it's drooping down right away, as you can see. You just saw that, right? So you're gonna have to work your way around with the angle and such. So yeah, but you can still hold the gun with one hand with no problem as well, other than the ball joint issue. So if you can find a way to strengthen the ball joint, that's going to be very helpful as well. So yeah, once again, you can pull off some really cool poses with the shield and combination over here. The only downside, or the only tricky part, would be the head/eye lens, because I'm trying to make it look like it's charging towards with the shield, but once again, the lens is facing this way or slightly this way. So, but I want to make it look forward. So that's going to be slightly awkward, but once again, once you get to understand the design, it's fine at this point. Alright, so these were the basic equipment. So I think there's only one thing left to show, and which is holding the rifle with two hands. I'll be right back with the setup, and we'll end it off there. Okay, I'm back. So here we have the laser cannon with both hands connected to it. So once again, I had to get rid of I had to swap parts with the left hand with the weapons holding hand, and it works pretty well because of the ball jointed angle. It can now hold the handle in this angle, so it makes it much more easier to do so. Now once again, it can pull off really cool poses with both hands together, and if you're having really issues with one hand, you can always do that as well. Now the only downside, as I mentioned before, would be the lens, because I would like to make it to face forward or the same direction that the cannon is looking at, but once again it's actually facing the other way around, so that would be the only downside. But still, overall I really like the color, and because of the color scheme and the lens, it definitely gives out that unmanned, like mass production type unit going on here, so I'm very satisfied. So at this point, the only like Brady Hound variant that's left would be the Ghost Hound. I think I forgot the exact name, but basically the Amime Ghost Mark II AI installed Brady Hound unit. So definitely looking forward for that as well. Anyway, this is pretty much it for the review. This was the review of the HG Brady Fox. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Once again, if you want to see more articulation regarding this guy, you can always check my previous reviews as well. Anyway, until then, see you guys next time.